Alright guys, my name is Shervin. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about your TFSA contribution limit, as well as how you can best withdraw money from your TFSA without limiting your investments too much. Now, in my last video, I went over what the TFSA is and what kinds of investments you want to make sure you hold in your TFSA in order to maximize your growth as fast as possible. So if you need a refresher or if you're not familiar with the TFSA in general, then make sure to check out that video first before coming over here. Now in this video, we're going to focus on two other important aspects of the TFSA, and that is your contribution limit and how you should be withdrawing money from it. So if you watch till the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how much money you're allowed to put into your TFSA, and I'm going to walk you through what the best times are for withdrawing money in order to less impact your investments going forward. So let's start with the contribution limit. And your contribution limit really comes down to your year of birth. I'm going to put a graphic over here where you can see exactly how much contribution limit you have in the year 2021, depending on which year you were born in. Now keep in mind that this assumes that you've been living in Canada your entire adult life. So if that's not the case for you, your contribution limit is going to depend on which year you started living in Canada from. Now, you don't have to be a citizen or even a permanent resident for you to receive TFSA contribution room. Even if you are just here on a work visa or even a student visa, you can still receive your TFSA contribution room and contribute to it as such. Now, going forward, it looks like there's going to be a fixed amount of $6,000 added to your contribution room every single year that you live in Canada. So whatever your contribution limit is in the year 2021, it's going to be $6,000 more in the year 2022, $6,000 more in the year 2023, and so on and so forth. Now, even though you're able to calculate your contribution limit using the information I just gave you, the best way for you to know exactly how much you're allowed to contribute to your TFSA is to go to your CRA account and take a look at the available contribution room that you have on your TFSA. There's going to be a number there that tells you exactly how much you're allowed to contribute to your TFSA going forward. But before you go to your CRA account and find out exactly how much you're allowed to contribute to your TFSA, there's one more thing that you need to do, and that is to smash the subscribe button down below and join the family. Now, jokes aside, if you enjoy this video, I come out with videos like this that focus on personal finance, banking, and investments all the time. And if you subscribe to the channel, you're going to see all my new videos right as they come out. Also, every subscriber makes a big difference for me as a YouTube content creator, and I really appreciate your support. Now, with that said, let's discuss what happens if you go over the allowed contribution limit that you have for your TFSA. So if you, let's say, have $30,000 available contribution room on your TFSA, what happens if you contribute more than that amount? Well, for up to $2,000, nothing really happens because the government allows you that little bit of a buffer zone just in case you make any mistakes. Now, if your contribution limit is $30,000, but you mistakenly contribute, let's say, $31,000, you fall under that buffer zone of $2,000. So it's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen. But that's if you go above that contribution limit and the buffer zone. Let's say you contribute $40,000, where you only had $30,000 of contribution room and another $2,000 just buffer zone, just in case you make mistakes. Now you're $8,000 overboard. So that $8,000 is going to be fined from you for next year. So essentially the government is going to fine you a certain percentage for any amount that you have over your contribution limit and the $2,000 buffer zone. Which is why it's so important for you to make sure you always have enough contribution room on your TFSA before you put any money in there. Because the last thing that you want to happen is for you to over contribute to your TFSA and then have to pay incredible amounts of fees to the government for the next year because you just went overboard without realizing it. Now, the next thing that we need to discuss is when and how are you allowed to withdraw money from your TFSA, and does that affect your contribution room? Now, generally speaking, you want to make sure you always have enough of an emergency fund in a high interest bank account so that you can always rely on that for any emergencies or any expenses that come up. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the best checking accounts in Canada, I highly recommend you go check that out. I'll leave a link to it right here. Essentially, I walk you through which bank accounts in Canada offer you the highest interest rates, which would be the best place for you to house your emergency fund. Now, with your emergency fund, you're looking to ideally save about 3 to 6 months of your expenses, just in case any emergency or any expenses come up. But that said, if you had your emergency fund, but you still need more money for whatever reason, and you have to withdraw money from your TFSA, then the best time to do it is at the end of the year. Because the way it works is that when you withdraw money from your TFSA, it actually doesn't go back on your contribution limit until the next year. So let's say if you have $50,000 in your TFSA and you have no contribution room left, if you withdraw $20,000 from that, guess what? You're not going to have any contribution limit until next year. where you get your new $6,000, as well as the $20,000 that you withdrew from last year. So until the end of the year, your contribution limit is going to be 0, and then next year it's going to be $26,000. Which is why the best time for you to withdraw money from your TFSA is at the end of the year, like November, December, sometime around then, because you will gain back your contribution room immediately in the next January. Whereas if you withdraw money, let's say in February or March, then you're not going to get that contribution limit back until next year. So essentially, you're losing an entire year where you could have invested your money tax-free and get a lot of gains throughout that time. So that's about it, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you have any other questions on this topic, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I always respond to every single question that comes in. And if you want, feel free to check out my other videos. I have a ton of videos on investments, banking, personal finance, all that stuff. So make sure to go ahead to my channel and check out all those videos as well. And with that said, thank you guys for watching. And as always, see you in the next one. Cheers.